On this week's episode of the Marketing Expedition podcast, I get to speak with Rick Elmore. He is an entrepreneur, sales, and marketing expert, and former college and professional football athlete. Yeah, he played for the Cardinals in Green Bay. He's pretty cool. And as the founder and CEO of Simply Noted, Rick developed a proprietary technology that puts real pen and ink to paper to scale handwritten communication, helping businesses of all industries scale this unique marketing platform to stand out from their competition and build meaningful relationships with clients, customers, and employees. Hang on, because you're in for a treat. Just wait till he explains what it is that he does and his company does to help marketers market. It's awesome. But first, it's time for the Marketing Essentials moments, the basics that you need to help you build your brand and your bottom line. Today's topic, I want to talk about marketing funnels. There's so many different examples and different ways to go about it. So I just want to give you the basics of what a funnel is. And maybe you've heard this before. Maybe it's just a reminder. Maybe there's some things that can help you in formulating what kind of funnel you want to have during the buying process for your target audience. So there's different stages in a funnel. And think of like a funnel when you're going to put oil into your car. You've got a funnel. It's shaped like a cone, right? And at the top of the funnel, the awareness stage is at the very top, where you're going to do things like blog posts and email newsletters. You're going to maybe have some industry white papers or some checklists or tip sheets or things that are going to build awareness about what your product or service might be. There's going to be things that are going to have like maybe some how-to videos or instructional videos or things that are going to be informational, really kind of building that awareness about what it is that you are doing, what solutions you have. I like to call them edutainment, where it's educational and entertaining at the same time. It's drawing that interest. Maybe you're doing some educational podcasts, or you are interviewed on podcasts or something of that nature to talk about your product or service. And then, of course, maybe there's going to be some guided tutorials on your website or on socials, maybe on LinkedIn. You're just really building that awareness, that very top of the funnel. You're giving resources, you're adding value. Maybe you have a glossary or frequently asked questions about your product or service. Maybe there's an interview about you or your company or whatever it is you're doing, kind of a company history or overview video, really just building that awareness so that people know about you and can learn a little bit more. Now, middle of the funnel is that evaluation stage. So now we're kind of honing in a little bit more every time we go and do more. Now we're talking about customer testimonials, where people are going to listen about your company from other people, right? It's building that word of mouth advertising, but now it's leaning on others to talk about you. It's having maybe more advanced ebooks or things that people can download about your product or service, a little more case studies and kind of the things that people can use to evaluate what it is that you do. Maybe there's a free sample or a free trial. Maybe there's a demo video, or maybe people need to book a demo in order to learn more. Maybe there's some solutions or some white papers that are more in depth. Maybe you've got some spec sheets or some more details, more into that frequently asked questions. Maybe there's more going on to help people evaluate if they want to use you versus competitors. Maybe you have a competitor comparison, and so now they're evaluating that entire process. They've shown their interest. They're really evaluating whether or not they're going to maybe potentially purchase from you. And then at the bottom of the funnel is where they're purchasing. It's the purchasing stage. There's potentially a free consultation involved. They've booked some time with you. Now you're talking pricing. And again, maybe you're doing that live demo in depth with the decision makers, that free trial. Now we're getting into the estimating or quoting. Maybe there's some discounts or coupons or other ways that you can help bring in the new client or customer or consumer, depending on what type of funnel you are in, if you're in business to business or business to consumer or any of those types of things. So we've got the awareness stage, the evaluation stage, and the purchasing stage. And then the funnel reverses once you've sold it, then it's going to come out and you're going to have all kinds of onboarding and all kinds of other things to bring that new client on board. But we'll talk about that another time, because once you've sold the client, then the work is not done yet. You've got more to do. So anyway, but until next time, we want to just get right into our interview with Rick. You're in for a treat. Here we go.
Welcome to the Marketing Expedition Podcast, an auditory journey through the latest in marketing, branding, and advertising. Now, here's your Marketing Expedition guide, Rhea Allen.
Welcome to the Marketing Expedition Podcast. I'm your host, Rhea Allen. I'm the president and CEO of Peppershock Media and the founder of the Marketing Expedition community. And today's guest, we have Rick Elmore. Welcome to the show, Rick.
Thank you so much for having me. This is great.
Absolutely. And you're calling from hot and sunny Arizona, aren't you?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're just getting into the intense heat of the summer.
Oh my goodness. Well, hopefully you're going to stay cool and dry inside. And well, hopefully dry is a relative term, right? I mean, I'm in Idaho. Yeah. It's desert here. But so let's just get into it. Tell me a little bit more about you and what you do and your journey and kind of all the things that our audience wants to hear.
Yeah, so my background's in athletics. I grew up as an athlete playing football, went to the University of Arizona on a scholarship, had a pretty good career there, and then was drafted into the NFL in 2011. So was pretty fortunate to live out my childhood dream of becoming a professional athlete. Played for 3 years.
Which sport?
Football.
Oh, you said football.
Yeah.
What position?
Outside linebacker. So mostly a pass rusher, hand down, rush the quarterback position. So
we're going through right now. My oldest son is going to be a senior, and he's O-line and D-line and getting recruited. So this is fun to hear. It
is an extreme blast. So it is a great time of your life to get recruited and then go have that college football experience. I do miss it.
Absolutely. So you ended up staying in Arizona then?
Yeah, so I was drafted to Green Bay in 2011. I actually ended up playing for the Arizona Cardinals in 2012. Had that journeyman type of experience a lot of guys do. Even though, it looks like the lifestyles of the rich and famous from the outside looking in. 99% of the guys in the NFL are just trying to make the team and playing for different teams each year. So, yeah, I was really fortunate. It was a good experience. And, a lot of the things that I learned as an athlete were transferable to, what helped me become successful in life after sport.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit more about that. Go on and tell me the story.
Yeah. After that, my parents were both small business owners. Just my mom was a medical biller and ended up inheriting / owning a physical therapy office. And then my stepdad was a contractor. So we grew up on the weekends helping him lug stuff up onto roofs. So made some money being physical, doing physical labor.
Good workout for you.
Yeah, using our young unbroken bodies at the time. But I always had the bug to want to own my own business. Just never really knew what I wanted to do. But when I got done playing football, I reached out to some guys who have done what I've done already, kind of made that transition to life after sport and got into medical device sales. And it was a good career. Really nothing bad to say about it. Just wanted something more. And I went back and did my MBA in 2017, went back to the University of Arizona, did night school. In the same year, 2017, I had my firstborn son, was launching a startup business, did an Ironman, was still working full time in a medical sales company. So, it was a pretty wild year. Yeah. But in 2018, took the leap of faith after, 7 years in medical device. Felt like I kind of accomplished everything I wanted to do there, and took the dive into the deep end of becoming an entrepreneur. And fast forward 4 years, or almost 4 years, we should qualify for the Inc. 5000 this year, which is, fastest growing private companies in the United States. We have 11 full-time employees. If you want to count part-time contractors, we have over 30. We've invested over 7 figures into building our own technology. I'm a football player by trade, but now I'm working with electrical engineers, software engineers, mechanical engineers, full stack developers, front end developers, basically become a project manager. And I know I'm biased of our technology, but I believe our handwriting robots are the best in the world. Yeah. And we've built a pretty exciting and fun business. So it's been great.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about the technology and what that 7-figure investment turns out to be. What is it that people do when they use your service?
Yeah, so we're a handwritten notes and handwritten mail company. So what that means is, unlike other services out there that send print mail, we actually have robots that hold real pens, and we are the only person in this niche or this space that actually has a purposely built writing robot. We do have a couple competitors, but what they use is 3-axis pen plotters, and I can spend an hour talking to you about the issues of using a pen plotter and some of the quality issues there. But our robots are built purposely to be handwriting robots, to write envelopes of any size, to write note cards of any size, 8.5 by 11 down to 6 by 9 or 4 by 6 or 3 by 3. So we have the most flexible, purposely built writing robot in the world.
Well, and I'm sure that there's some studies that have been done. If something is handwritten, you're going to read it, you're going to look at it and see it, because you're like, oh, well, what is this? Somebody took the time to handwrite something to me, So it's kind of like, it's a little mysterious, right?
Yeah, and I mean, you actually hit the nail on the head. So Simply Noted started out as a project when I was doing my MBA, and I actually bought one of those pen plotters, and it took forever. I mean, it took me weeks to write out 500 handwritten notes with a pen plotter. And I was in sales. I had a professor say handwritten notes had a 99% open rate, and I was like, man, it's a no-brainer. Who doesn't open a handwritten note these days, right? Because our mailboxes are either filled with junk or there's nothing in it.
My grandma just received a handwritten letter from someone in California wanting to buy her property and explaining, why they wanted to move here and all this stuff. And she's like, it's not for sale, but I did open it. I get letters all the time. You're right. And it's like handwritten makes you think it's like there's a human behind it, right?
It really is. Perception is reality. And, we do believe that it's still the sentiment behind it. It still takes time for us to write these. It takes about 5 minutes for each letter to be written versus, a printing press, which we do operate in our warehouse. We can print 11,000 pieces of, cards an hour, versus one of our writing robots can do, 15 to 30 an hour. So, these are still a lot more valuable, when it comes down to what goes into it. But out of those 500 letters that we ended up writing, I sent those out to prospects. I thought it was going to be a great sales tool. And I got 28 doctors to call me back, which was unreal because doctors don't call sales reps, especially in the medical world.
Like never, right? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. My quota was like $50,000 a month. I ended up selling over $280,000 in like new equipment. My whole company was freaking out. Like, Rick, what are you doing? My VP of sales is like, this is insane. Like, what's your secret? And basically from that point on, my business went on autopilot, and I was trying to transition out and figure out how to become that entrepreneur. So they call it the entrepreneurial seizure, when you have that, light bulb explosive moment. You're like, this is it. This is going to be amazing. But the amount of sleepless nights and what has gone into what is just a handwritten note is insane.
and with a little
all the technology,
a little, you said 4-year-old at home.
I have a 2 and a 4-year-old, so now we have 2 kids.
Oh man.
So it has been an insane 4 years, to say the least.
Man, if my son could have had this technology, he had to handwrite all of his thank you notes for he did an Eagle Scout project and had to thank a lot of people. I'm sure he would have loved this. So do you do like big mass mailings, or do you do like small sizes, or kind of explain the process if someone were to use your service? Like, what do they do? How do they go about it?
So the whole idea behind Simply Noted is we want to help you build, sustain, and get new relationships. We think it's a handwritten thank you note is a great tool nowadays, because a lot of people, like, I don't know how it is for you, but at least people kind of have this mentality like we deserve things. Like it's not like appreciation is there anymore. So we want to help our clients, show their clients that they care about them in a more efficient way. And Simply Noted is an API first platform. What that means is, we use software to help our clients automate sending thank you notes. So if you think of, an e-commerce website, somebody spends $500 on their website, we can set up a trigger to automate that. Or if you have a CRM, Salesforce, HubSpot, Zoho, Pipedrive, any of these CRMs out there, you have a contact in there that gets updated from new prospect to potential client. We can set up an automation. We worked with tons of luxury brands, home service companies, e-commerce websites, nonprofits, and set up all these automations. And the automations are nice because it's done efficiently. It's tracked in your software. It can become a part of that customer journey, that customer experience. It's on time. You don't have to think about it. It's basically just happening in the background. But yeah, if you have a spreadsheet as well, you can send 100,000 custom. It's just like mail merge, like hi first name, we plug in the first name. If all the data is in a spreadsheet, you can send 100,000 custom handwritten notes in literally 2 minutes. You literally just,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Click and go, huh? So
that's really what it is.
The variable data can be updated. So you have the same message, but then you change out the variable data that you want for each message. And then the robots handwrite it and then send it out. Now, what about stamps? Because here's the other thing, is it regular, normal, United States Post Office stamps, or is it how you get bulk mail and it's, pre-stamped on there, or
Here's an example of one. This one just bounced, but we use real forever stamps. It's real pen written on the return and shipping address.
Wow, that looks so. For our audience who can't see this, and I'll explain it, but it looks very it's very much handwritten. Is it always looking the same every time, or do the robots kind of have any variation?
And that's really why we built our own handwriting robots, because it's not just the robot, it's the handwriting engine. It's what drives the machine, the font technology, all the glyph technology. We actually developed the AI algorithm that if you wrote 100 A's in a row, they would never look the same. The robot is supposed to add a little bit of variation to how the glyph squeezes and stretches and pulls. So you can talk about
oh my goodness,
everything about this
no,
technology.
that's the word glyph, how it's displayed, right? Because there's kerning and
if you think of fonts, TTF or OTF files, they're not actually letters, they're actually glyphs. So that A is not actually an A, it's just a box that whatever's inside that box is getting displayed when you type that glyph, which is the A key or whatever. So gotcha. We can plug in as many variables as we want. We control, the offset of the left margin,
oh my goodness,
the spacing between the lines, the spacing between the letters, kerning. It's
all of these.
It is extremely complicated. But we've gone all in on the technology. We believe that in order to be the best, you have to have the best technology, not just the best marketing budget, because at the end of the day, people want genuine, real, authentic products. And if you have a cheap, 3-axis pen plotter that's writing the same, type of glyph,
you can totally tell when it's one of those that looks like it's handwriting, but not really. You can tell it's computer generated, There's
a bunch of issues with the pen plotters. They use gravity instead of a downward writing force. So our machines actually have 3 pounds of writing force. It pushes the pen into the paper, so there's actually indentions. It's
oh my gosh, you've really thought about all of this. Your people have made something very cool. Well, hopefully people don't feel like they've been hijacked or deceived or anything. But this is a really cool technology.
And I totally can understand how people can perceive that, but at the end of the day, it's really the last form of communication that people really think that can be automated. And what would you appreciate more? That annoying text message being retargeted on your social media account 100 times, 50 automated email follow-ups, or just a nice, handwritten thank you note you get once or twice a year. in the mailbox, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to explain to these companies that we work with. It's all about maintaining and building that loyalty through your client base, because you're going to, what is it? The rising tide raises all ships, right? If you maintain and build those relationships, they're going to stay longer, right? They're going to tell their friends, they're going to refer more people, they're going to become advocates about your company. These are rare nowadays. People take pictures of them and it becomes more of like a viral aspect on their social medias, right? Like how many times do you see somebody take a picture of an email and say, hey, I just got this cool email from this company I just bought a product from? Never. Right?
Well, I'll tell you, when I am hiring people who send handwritten thank you notes after I've interviewed them stand out a lot more, because they've taken that time to appreciate and say thank you for the opportunity. I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right. When something like that comes in the mail, I'm gonna look at it. You're 100% on. Yeah.
Yeah, so we think we're onto something. I think all things kind of come back into style, right? Sometimes old things are new again. And we just think it's a missing piece of, ABM or account-based marketing or customer experience, or just a part of being in sales in general. Because, in the 90s, before cell phones and before email, like it was really normal to sit down and send a follow-up thank you note. Thanks for this meeting, right? So we're just trying to make it easy for everybody to do it again.
So if somebody's thinking about this as a tactic that they'd like to include in their marketing strategy, let's talk a little bit about budget. And I won't hold you to it, and neither should the audience, because everything is different. I mean, it matters the paper that you use and the notes and how many you send. But in general, like, just give me an example of something that maybe somebody paid and how many pieces they got and what was all included. And again, obviously this is going to be played later, so when people come to you, they can't expect this, but just give me kind of like a range of costs of what are we talking about here?
Yeah, so our service starts at $2.67 before postage, so $3.25 shipped, and that's with a real forever stamp. And that includes a handwritten envelope, a custom piece of stationery, a nice thick cardstock on luxurious paper, and then we handwrite the message as well. So even though these are like all robotically written, the only thing that is done robotically, I guess, is all the busy work, but then humans are actually hand quality controlling each piece, because you don't want a half-written card because a pen ran out of ink and then that gets sent and it doesn't make sense, right? So we take a very serious quality control here, because our service really is to make it look like you sat down and did it. So nice. Robots write everything, robots stamp and seal everything, but all the quality control is done by humans. But yeah, it starts at $2.67. And we have plans that can go, well into the low dollars. Just really depends on how many you're sending a year.
And now a word about one of our sponsors, Sweatcoin. Sweatcoin, it pays to walk. At Sweatcoin, they want a healthier you on a healthier planet. They achieve this by converting your steps, your walking steps or running, of course, into a currency to spend on cool products and services. And let me tell you, I just ordered a really cool pillow that's worth $100. And of course, I only had to pay a couple bucks for shipping, but I exchanged in my Sweatcoin to be able to pay for this. And all I had to do is walk. And it tracks all of my steps, and then I can order cool things like pearl earrings and whatever the offers are that interest you. But go to peppershock.com/offers and we both get Sweatcoin. You said you automated it. So tell me a little bit more about the process. Like you get connected into your sales or CRM system, and you just have a certain amount of pieces a month, or it sends it off automatically. Tell me a little bit more about that. How does that work?
Yeah, so and that's another reason why we had to rebuild our writing robots, because all the technologies that are out there, like the pen plotters or these 3D printers or old auto pens, the softwares that they have built aren't I guess native or built purposely for that machine. So for example, like those AxiDraw plotters are using a third-party software called Inkscape, or some of these auto pens are literally using software that was built in like the 90s.
Oh boy.
And it's a third-party app that runs
Dot
their
Matrix
machine. So it
back
doesn't
in the
make
day.
sense. Yeah. So when you're trying to think of throughput, right, and being completely vertically integrated from taking an order online to how that order gets processed and out the door. The only way that we could accomplish that was rebuilding our machine. So yeah, there's a lot of software, custom built software that's put into this. Again, it is way more complicated than I ever thought it would be. But yeah, we've rebuilt our writing robot. We set it up from being completely integrated vertically, from how it comes in through our e-commerce website, to if it's a custom card, it gets sent to our printing press. So that custom card gets printed out. And then once it's done with the printing press, it gets put on machines. From those machines, it gets written, from whatever the order details were from the e-commerce website. And then once they're done with the machine, they're hand quality controlled and then sent through the production. Yeah, it's a lot of work.
You could potentially just do one-offs then. I mean,
we do.
At a time.
Well, that is our website. You can go and send one at a time. So there is no order minimum. So you can just go and send yourself like a test card or send a thank you card quickly. But the real power of our business is either automating it or doing, bulk sends a couple times a year.
Well, what excites me is my handwriting is terrible. And so if a robot can do it where it's legible, I mean, that's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. We get that a lot. People forget how to write. When's the last time you picked up a pen?
Well, we do handwritten thank you notes, but I usually have an intern write them, or my one of my sons has decent handwriting, or somebody was like, but just you can't read mine very well because I'm just in a hurry or whatever. But this really seems pretty exciting. So that's awesome, and it seems pretty cost effective. I mean, when you normally buy a card or you get cards printed or whatever the case might be, then you're spending that kind of money anyway. So we may as well have it done by a robot for you.
Think about it too, right? Like some of these home service companies, like you get a new roof, it's $20,000. Why wouldn't you spend $3 just to thank that person, right?
Absolutely.
Or you go buy a car, right? Some of these car dealerships, like they're buying $60,000, $80,000 cars. Why wouldn't you spend $3, right?
Yeah.
I still think if you have the time, it is better to sit down and send them yourselves. But when you have a highly transactional, high output, tons of traffic, when you can't do this efficiently or you can't do it to scale on time, like that's when a service like Simply Noted comes into play. But if you have the time, I always, we do tons of meetings every day. I always say, hey, if you can do 1 or 2 a day by yourself, I would absolutely recommend doing that. But if you need to automate hundreds a day or send thousands at a time, that's when we come into play and help you do it.
Well, I can just imagine if you're inviting somebody to an event or, if you're fundraising. I mean, my goodness, fundraising there's lots of opportunity for nonprofits and donors to be thanked and or asked or whatever the case might be. I mean, I just see a world of opportunities that just sort of flooded in my head. So this is really awesome. So how do people go? What's the website? Go ahead and share that.
Yeah, it's just simplynoted.com, how it's spelled. A good thing to do is just go request a free sample kit. We send a really nice, big sample kit like this with a lot of, writing samples inside.
Oh, cool.
And that's free. Or you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn all day. So those are the 2 places that connect with us.
Nice. And then one more question. What advice could you share with others who are thinking about becoming an entrepreneur? Because you made that plunge, you did that. And what is it that you wish you would have known that you know now that you didn't know then? And what could you share for our people who are looking to become, maybe potentially jump all in like you did?
Yeah, so I'm very risk adverse. My wife's a lot more riskier than I was. So she was actually the pushing force that got me to do this, because I had a good job. We had a good life. I was making good money. But if you want to be an entrepreneur, really it can come down to analysis paralysis and you never get started. I'm 4 years into this and I still don't have all the answers. Like, you literally are going to make mistakes every day, learn, grow, get better. That's just a part of the process. So if I can give any advice to a young and inspiring entrepreneur, as long, right, as you can, I would say just get started. Because there's people who are in their careers for 20 years that are still just figuring it out. So just get started, because, if I started right now and I have a 2-year-old, a lot more responsibility, I never could have done, what I've done right now, or what I've done in the last 4 years. So just get started. And then, man, I that question about what do you wish you could have told yourself, or
what you wish you would have known that you know now.
well, I've started a tech company with zero tech experience. So I would say start a company that you have a really good, understanding, so if you're an athlete, and you want to do training, you have that background.
Right.
If you are a recruiter that did, recruiting and medical, and you want to start your own recruiting company, focus in medical. But I would say if you're going to do something like I did, I would say find a mentor as fast as possible.
Good.
Because I'm telling you, I've lost, hundreds of thousands of dollars making the wrong decisions, but they were learning opportunities for me, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't have a mentor. I was the first person to go to college in my family, first person to truly start a business like this. So really I've had to go through all the bumps and bruises on my own like that. But I would say find a mentor, because that person is going to save you years and lots of money.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. I, on one side of my family, am also first gen college, and I also got my MBA too. So I can relate to that 100%. And you're right. Not everybody understands how being an entrepreneur can, be the all the hours in the day and all the things that you go through and all the trials and tribulations. And I always say, we don't have problems. We have opportunities.
Yeah,
sometimes you learn those pretty well. Yeah.
I reframe my problems.
Yes.
Like, oh, here we go, another 3 months. And that's the problem too. The longer you get into things, they're not 1 day fixes anymore, 1 week. It's like months or years, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like a 777, jumbo jet. It takes a longer time for it to turn around.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and then I've noticed as you transition into entrepreneurship, the thing that you do is you just automatically jump to problem solving, right? No matter what. And sometimes you don't even know what the problem is. You just want to solve it, no matter what it becomes.
Yeah.
So you have to slow down and think about, okay, well, what is it we're trying to solve here? What is it that we're, wanting to actually get a solution to, and taking those steps to do it. And sometimes it's hard to do because you just want to solve everything so you can move on.
And that's another problem about being an entrepreneur is you got to stop working, in your business and work on it, right?
Absolutely.
And as entrepreneurs, you do get sucked into fixing every little problem. So I forget what the book is called. I just gave it to somebody. I forget what it's called, but that's a big thing I took away about a year ago. It's like, stop working and trying to do everything, right? Like, you got to start improving your product, improving, building your business. E-Myth. That's what it.
There you
Michael
go.
Gerber. E-Myth. Yes.
For those of you listening who, if you've never listened or read the E-Myth book, or the E-Myth Revisited, because they revised it over the years, but it's by Michael Gerber, and absolutely, we would recommend it full-heartedly.
It's an easy, quick read too. I just think it's like a couple hundred pages, really easy to digest.
Yeah. Another one that we read recently, let's split them a little bit, but it's called Built to Sell. And, getting those processes down in place, and getting your systems and everything going and growing. And even if you're not going to sell right away, it's just the idea that maybe someday I would sell my business. And if somebody were to take over, they would need to know all of those systems and processes. And it's good for new hires and new recruits and, all of the things. So,
I listen to that podcast every once in a while, and I forget the guy's name who does it, but one thing that really stuck out with me for maybe some of you more experienced entrepreneurs, in order to sell your business and make it easy to sell your business, he has the terminology of calling kill the king. Like, your business has to be able to run without you. And 99% of businesses, if the business owner and entrepreneur died, the business will die. So as your business matures, you got to figure out a way to kill the king. Absolutely. And get yourself removed completely from it. And if you can do that, like, you're going to exponentially be able to sell your business for a lot more. So that's a great thing I've taken from Built to Sell.
There you go. And then one last one. We've been currently going through the Entrepreneur Operating System, Rocket Fuel and Traction. I don't know if you've been familiar or have heard of that, but same thing.
Yeah, I have that book too.
Principles is, like you just said, delegate to elevate and let it go. My staff actually got me a Frozen doll, so that they could tell me to let it go.
Mhm.
it's hard sometimes. It's your baby. You're growing up with it, and you want to take care of it. And when things go wrong, you want to fix it, but you have to delegate to elevate.
Yep. I couldn't
For
agree
sure.
more. Yeah. The traction isn't about like having 10 meetings or what is
Level 10. Yeah,
level
you
10
want
meetings,
to have every meeting ranked as a 10 because it's the best that you can have. And there's some some things to follow so that you have a level 10 meeting every time as much as possible. You rate the meeting at the end. What would you rate this meeting 1 through 10? And so we do that level 10s with our leadership team, and then we have our finance team, our marketing team, and the marketing, finance, and operations. And we have those L10s. So everyone gets to rate the meeting, and sometimes it's not always a 10, but you strive for it, right?
Absolutely.
For sure. Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you, and I look forward to testing this out because I have handwritten notes, and sometimes people can't read them, so this could be my solution for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Rick, and try to stay cool there in Arizona. You said it was 112 today, but drink lots of water and and come visit us in Idaho.
Absolutely.
You can't stay here though, because all the people will keep moving into Idaho, but you can come visit us anytime.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Have a great one. And for those of you listening, the best thing that you can do is share this with others that you think need what Rick has to offer. Simply Noted is definitely a tool that we can all use, I believe. And then also subscribe and download and share this podcast. Give us reviews. It's the best compliment we could possibly get from you. So thank you so much for those of you listening. Thank you so much, Rick, for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
And until next time, everyone, enjoy your marketing journey.
Thanks for listening to the Marketing Expedition podcast. Want to continue the journey? Don't miss out on new episodes. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. Wouldn't it be great if there was one place you can go to get all the latest information and tips about marketing and advertising? The Marketing Expedition community is that place. People like you gather in our online community to build relationships with others and find the latest marketing trends, tactics, tools, and technology. We help you build your brand and your bottom line. Start your adventure today. Visit themarketingexpedition.com to find out more.